Hello everyone, we have a game with the black pieces on our rapid speedrun against Ensar Yesiltas, rated 1431. He opens up with 1e4, and we try to play our PIRC Defense for the speedrun. Show you guys what the games look like, that way you can decide if it's something you want to give a try, or if it's not really your style. He develops the knight towards the center, and we copy him, but now we're hitting a pawn. Will he defend it? I hope so. He's thinking quite hard on this for some reason. It's a pretty, natural move to just develop your other knight and defend. But instead he pushes, which allows us to take, luring his knight to move a second time. Now that his knight has moved a second time and is in the center, I'm going to continue just with my kingside development with the fianchetto in castling and remain completely flexible on the queen side. And then when I'm done castling, I'll see how white has moved his pieces and I'll determine what to do from there. So I'm continuing with the fianchetto, x-raying the loose knight as he piles up against the f7 pawn. I still feel no need to play e6, so I'll castle. Now we're in our normal starting position, just without the d6 pawn that we normally have. We're looking at the knight, and we can develop our other minor pieces. So he swings a third attacker over, and it pressures the b pawn, so you can't move your light square bishop easily. Now that he's attacking it 3 times, I do see a reason to play e6. He's also moved his queen an additional time. Do we have other moves? Let's just see real quickly. So he's hitting this pawn. Yeah, I mean, e6 makes the most sense, just stopping the battery, disconnecting the knight with the other pieces on f7. And so now he's setting up his pieces against a wall. He plays his pawn forward so he can develop his bishop. It makes sense. Now his knight is loose and it's time for us to develop. We can't really move our bishop because our pawn is hanging. Not that we want to move it here anyway, right? So it makes more sense to move a knight. I say we challenge his knight in the center while developing. Okay, he takes. How do we want to take? If we take with the bishop, he'll likely take our pawn. Do we have something cool there? We don't have bishop c6. We have rook b8, but there's nothing hanging behind it, so there's no point. I don't see anything cool, so let's take with the queen. Protect our pawn, and we can fianchetto this because the d7 square is not so good unless you play e5 or put it to c6 anyway. So he develops a piece. He does not even pin the knight, he just attacks the knight. But it's defended and he doesn't really want to trade this for this, so I don't really see the point of this developing move. Now we can complete our development by going b6. We can also go a6, b5 with the fianchetto idea just to hit this bishop because it's trapped in that weird line. So a6 is a forcing move. It takes away the b5 square, so even if he plays a4 and we can't get in b5, we could then go b6. We haven't really wasted a turn because we got him to play a4, and this a6 move will be useful in the fact his 2 pieces can't go here and harass us or try to do anything. Just a small thing, it doesn't actually really matter though. I like black's position. And so you could have played b6, but that leaves some light square holes. You'll fianchetto, but... So he just castles. So doesn't this trap the bishop? So he's not even asking himself, why did I play a6? It's kind of obvious I wanted to play b5. And I guess he's gonna... You don't even get 2 pawns, though. Okay, so he's 1400. He was playing very solidly for 10 moves, and then he just wasn't aware of the danger. He didn't ask himself what the threat was, and so now he loses on move 11. So he takes the knight. You could intermezzo this because it hits the queen, but there's no need to be fancy in this situation. Just show him your bishop's trapped, and you made a bad trade because you don't want to give up that bishop for the knight. And when you're down material, which he's about to be, you don't really want to be trading stuff because then you lose resources. And so yeah, it's trapped, and whether he takes, okay, he takes this way, which is interesting. No reason to ruin our pawn structure. It opens the rook, but still there's nothing happening on the f file. So we take with the queen so that we can recapture with the bishop, maintaining our integrity of our structure. 2 pawn islands only. Beautiful bishops. He covers the diagonal so he can develop his knight without hanging the b pawn, but it wastes an entire turn. Not so good. This pawn looks backward, but on the next turn he's going to push it forward and create this nice pawn chain. So you could do this in either move order, but when you put a rook on the d file and he pushes, you can then play c5. Or you could start with c5, controlling the square, and then put a rook over. So I'm going to start with c5 because this, it wasn't actually a backwards pawn, but it kind of is until you push it. So now that we push it, maintain the health of our pawns, but most importantly, control the center. He develops the knight, and now we can put a rook to the d file, attacking that pawn. And if he pushes it, c5 is already there, ready to capture, and now this pawn's indefensible by a rook because of his knight placement. So he goes behind anyway. I think we should just take this pawn. It allows for a nice pawn chain with solidification, rook on an outpost. It allows for doubling. He has other things hanging, but we're already up 3 points, a full piece, so a full minor piece. We don't need to win pawns. You just want to dominate or trade. So he moves the knight here, so we don't have time to take his rook, and our rook is loose. Interesting move. Pretty cool. What's the counter? We get a rook, he gets a bishop. We go up. I guess it's just a trade. You just have to take the rook, because then you move your king up when he takes your bishop intermezzo. I guess the most he could have done was force you to ruin your pawn structure in this line. So he could have taken, forced my king up, then gave me this check. I guess I don't even have to take. I could still hunt the knight. Okay, anyway, I'm going to move. Well, I don't want to give him the bishop either. So let's go here and just control the entire file from his rook and dominate the knight. Okay, this bishop's defended, so any pressure on this file doesn't matter. So now that he gave up the open file, we can take it. We're still up an entire piece. We don't want to kick his knight because that loosens up the pieces on the e file. We want to keep this construction. So we can infiltrate. We can get our king a little closer to the pieces. He breaks over here. Maybe he's trying to create a nice, an anchor for his knight. But we can take that pawn. And the more the board opens up, the faster our bishops will be. So now we can take free stuff for free. And he's kind of collapsing, right? So he protects this pawn because it's also hanging. We can infiltrate, might as well, or we can... Yeah, let's just infiltrate. He has to go here. We can pin the knight, forcing trades. Since we're up 4 points of material, f5 threatens to win the knight, so he has to maybe play f3 or get out of the pin. Okay, so he plays f3, which is nice. I'm just going to take the knight. Less resources for him, less headaches for me. Now I can force the rook trade due to this alignment. Less pieces for him, less headaches for me. And when you have no pieces, then you can't have counterplay. That's the concept. Take away his rook, take away his knight. How can he trick you? He can't. Pawns don't have really tricky properties. They can only move forward. Okay, so he just makes random pawn moves while we improve our only other piece aside from the bishop. We have a pass pawn over here. We have our king over here. You can win however you want. If he goes for this pawn, this queen's immediately. If he doesn't go for the pawn, he just goes back and forth for the rest of the game when he could be playing another game or analyzing this game. So he's putting himself in zugzwang by using up all his moves, and we can just do whatever we want in any move order. Everything's winning. There's no way to blunder. You can hang your bishop here and you're completely winning. You can hang both of these pawns and give him a passer. You're completely winning. So it doesn't matter what you do. You could win this blindfold. That might be a good exercise, since there's limited things to keep track of, only a few pieces after all. This is just a funny move because it cuts him off from coming back, so it's super annoying, which means if he ever goes this way, he's cut off. And if he keeps going back and forth, it's a self-made mating net, so he has to go here. And it's still mate. Can't get out. So that was a good game by the 1400 for the first 10 moves. So we tried to get a PIRC, but we were met with an early e5, which happens all the time. And he takes the pawn, no big deal. Engine says black is ever so slightly better, but basically it's equality, right? You've already equalized because his e pawn is gone. Your d pawn is gone. He has the same number of squares as you in the center, equal. So we go into the PIRC setup anyway to stay flexible and king safety. And now we start from here from a minus 0.4 position. Can't complain. So he tries to be fancy. It's like a Paul Morphy swing over, but in a completely different position, right? So we just make the most natural move, center, development, prophylaxis. And now development, center, and removing his strongest piece. He trades, force move. We're up basically a pawn positionally. And now even more. So we play a6. I'm curious what other options there are. So b6, which is the first move I mentioned to fianchetto. c5, which goes along with the pawn chain we're about to create to fianchetto. So all these make sense. So the top four moves are all exactly minus 1.1. And they're all queenside expansion. a6, b6, c5, and rook b8, which... Oops, I didn't mean to change the size of the board. I gotta double check that later now. And rook b8, which is another way, a clever way of queenside expansion, because you're still threatening b5 just like a6, but you're somehow improving a piece as well, aligning with the queen. That's kind of cool. I like it, but okay. So we play a6, perfectly, the best move, let's say, and he just ignores our threat. So we're minus 1 positionally. All he has to do is play a4, like I mentioned, and then we can play b6, continuing our fianchetto plan. Well, now that we've seen it, rook b8 there might be interesting, but b6 is good enough if you don't want to be fancy. He castles and immediately hangs the piece. It's minus 4. So from here, it's just a lost game and an easy conversion. He helps us by trading, and then by sacking, and then by trading for free. So these are all forced moves that he just made us do, and it's -6. So he just forced us into a completely winning endgame, where he's down a minor piece. And this is center and prophylaxis. Maintaining his weakness, so I can attack it. Development, center for free. Taking stuff for free. And it is -6. It's obviously completely winning. But when he played this move, it was clever, and I was not expecting it. So I had to take a second to like, okay, what's the best move here? Let me not do something dumb. But it doesn't work. The funny thing is, if you turn on the engine, bishop takes c3. Okay, so that's just a desperado if you want to blunder by taking a pawn. So the only real move to maintain this -5, you have to take the rook. Otherwise, this was a very clever move by him. So after at first it's like, oh wait, if you take the rook, he's gonna get a piece and your rook, and he'll be up a piece, but you actually get the knight back. So the thing I thought he could do is if I take the rook, maybe he could take the bishop intermezzo when I go king up. Since he's gonna lose the knight anyway, he can try to, at the very least, maybe ruin our pawn structure, right? By giving us this check. We win this way, he gets the rook, and the whole point of that operation was to mess up our pawns, let's say. It's still -6 and losing, but I thought maybe that was his best try. But, yeah, so we take the rook, turn off the engine, and he just takes back directly, and so now there's no reason to give him this nice bishop on such a nice open board. Although we're up 6 points of material, so you definitely can. I mean 3 points of material. So we just move the bishop. It also, the good thing is it controls infiltration squares for the rook, so that's nice. Development, center. This is development and center. I'm developing my king and moving it towards the center because it's an endgame. Okay, free stuff, so I take it for free. He moves his rook, improving a piece for free. Improving a piece for free. Free stuff because trades are wins, -7. Again, free stuff because trades are wins. Completely winning endgame, and then you can just win however you want. The second you have this construction, you can just take your king, go to the other side, take 1,000 pawns, and he can never do anything. So, nice easy game. Only 2 inaccuracies, so we had a 98%. Because I move 11, this guy blundered an entire piece, but he played, I want to say well, but it's not even well. The queen thing here is cheesy. Swinging it here is cheesy. It's all one move threats. If your opponent doesn't fall for it, which they shouldn't, I mean, you kind of just wasted your opening turns with this queen for no reason when you could have and should have been developing. So now you guys know what not to do. Good luck in your chess, and goodbye.